Welcome, join us as we explore the mystical insights of the Blood Moon Oracle, revealing profound guidance for your journey ahead. Thank you for watching.
Good morning. Welcome to Blood Moon Oracle's encouragement of the week. It is going to be an interesting week. Lots going on in the world, in society, and our government. It's just a lot. But we're going to take a look at the energy for the week and see what comes out. Um, like, share, comment, subscribe if you feel led. Welcome to Blood Moon Oracle. My name is Leticia. Thank you for stopping by. Let's take a look. I've cleansed my space and we are going to pull out the current energy for this week that we are operating and dealing with. And then take a look at how we're handling it. Yes, how we're handling it, and then what is to come. So, dealing with my Easy Tarot deck and a couple of oracle cards. My numerical oracle was one that caught my eye this morning, and my Seven Energies oracle as well. Okay. And what is to come? Lots of cards that are flipping over. Let's see. Yeah, lots of cards. What's going on? Okay. What is to come? All right. Thank you for stopping by. Happy Monday. This is the last week in October before we head into the last 2 months of the year, 2026. It's definitely going to be an interesting year, I feel like. And now's a good time to prepare for it. Now is a good time, but let's take a look. And so the energy coming out this week is the Ace of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Four of Cups. The Ace of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Four of Cups. And so this week there is definitely some, I do feel like there's going to be some surprise moments that we find ourselves in this week. Maybe things that we hadn't paid attention to or noticed before. Um, I feel like a lot of energy around feeling like we are able to handle this, being ready to handle it, and willing with the Queen of Wands. Um, this feels like there is a willingness to enter into this energy or this challenge this week, ready to handle whatever comes. Yeah. The Queen of Wands is fire energy, very warm, very personable. There's this beautiful aura that she has. Um, Generally in a good mood, a little cheerful and enthusiastic, always busy with different things, multitasking. Feels like this week we may not even, for a lot of us, give our attention to what's going on or um, what's behind all of this rhetoric that's happening with the government. It just feels like being really focused in on what it is that we need to do. That's the energy I get with the Queen of Wands. And this could be dealing with our homes, dealing with work, dealing with our families and friends, just really accounting for what's important to us this week. It doesn't really feel like a bother to me. It doesn't mean that you won't be affected by what's happening this week, but it doesn't really feel like it's going to, be a big issue. Now, we have one more card, the Four of Cups. And so this is dealing with the energy, okay? And the Four of Cups is a bit withdrawn. It's a bit isolated and in your own lane, your own zone. Um, but fours deal with stability. So because of this energy, I do feel like this is what's keeping us, stable and grounded, just minding our own business, going about our own way, doing what we do. There could be things that are coming in that are trying to grab our attention this week. Um, it's a fine line, I feel like, a fine balance between minding your business, being in your own zone and doing your thing and being attentive for what's being, brought into um, your vicinity that you may be able to benefit from. Yeah, because he's sitting on a beautiful landscape, and it's very beautiful. And there's a cup being offered. And so there's so many things going on. The mood is very nonchalant. The air is indifferent. It may seem like things are very quiet and still. We may be tempted to feel like we're bored or discontent, but it's not that. It's not that. This is a moment to be watchful, especially because of the mood, the energy of this week. Um, and don't miss what's coming because the Ace of Swords means there's information coming in, and possibly invitations and opportunities that we cannot miss this week. Because whatever this is, it could potentially be something that you will definitely regret if it passes you by. And so, even in the midst of everything that's going on, there's something here about this not being the focus, what's going on in the government and all that stuff, that's not the focus this week. There's something else happening this week with this Ace of Swords that we need to pay attention to, and be ready for. Okay, that's the energy for this week. Now, how are we dealing with this energy? And it possibly could be focusing on other things to trying to stay balanced and grounded and not giving it too much of our attention. We have the Ace of Swords, the Eight of Swords, not the Ace of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Three of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. Okay, lots of swords coming out here. I'm sorry, not the Eight of Swords. This is the Ten of Swords. And so, for some of us, though, even though the energy is very calm and collected, and it's almost like ready, for the incoming, some may not. I feel like some may not um, take it very well. Some may take it, the energy this week, personal. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be with the government. This is just general, what's happening for us this week. Whatever is unfolding for us, some of us are taking it personal, like it's a personal attack with the Ten of Swords. And the attack may feel like it's coming from those who are close to us, those who have a position, um, to make the greatest attack. You know, um, and there's something here with the Knight of Swords about being ready. We might be quick to make assumptions with the Knight of Swords, quick to move on those assumptions, um, quick to think, in terms of what it could be, not necessarily waiting for the information or the proof to come in to assume. I feel like we're going to be in a huge headspace this week, even though the energy feels really calm and serene. A lot of people are going to be in their heads this week. There may even be a lot of bickering and, mm, I hate to say it, like a lot of backbiting between those who should have our trust. There's some kind of energy this week that's not going to be really helpful. And so I think that Four of Cups is going to be a good thing because we will all need to. I think it's kind of like that COVID thing where when we were all sent, home. It's time to go home, and we all have to go home, be in our own space, deal with our own stuff. I don't feel like it's going to be like mandatory having to go and deal with your own space and your own stuff, but this might be a week to do that because I see just a lot of friction and a lot of people in their heads. Not everybody is going to take this kindly. Some people are going to take it personal. It's going to cause some division. I feel like in the home between, families, friends. There's going to be just a lot of this Ten of Swords and this um, Knight of Swords. Is like thinking the worst very quickly first, assuming the worst first, and not only assuming but being ready to act on it. not the best of energy when you're dealing with the Ten of Swords, because the Knight of Swords is not only presenting his sword, but taking fearless action. You know, that combined with the Ten of Swords is like all means necessary type of energy. I don't know. And so the Knight of Swords is all about, using um, a bit of discernment and seeing things as they really are. But that mixed with the Ten of Swords could be a very volatile, it could be a very sensitive energy. Let's take a look at what's coming towards us. We have the World card, definitely world energy, the Knight of Wands coming towards us, and the Eight of Swords. Again, more swords energy, not necessarily the best. Um, this week, there's going to be something coming towards us that might, in fact, make us feel like we don't have a lot of choices. However, that's not necessarily true because the Eight of Swords is all in our minds. This is mental energy. And this is a mind game that we usually play with ourselves when we're dealing with the Eight of Swords and thinking that we don't have options or opportunities to free ourselves from certain situations or be able to choose in certain situations. It's really what we're telling ourselves and what we're choosing to see. What's coming towards us is going to be a test of that. With the World and the Knight of Wands, it's going to be a test of our ability to navigate difficulties. With the World, I feel like there's some type of wrapping up or challenge to something um, ending or something affecting the world at large, right? And being able to navigate in that with the Knight of Swords, being able to move and take action in spite of. And so what's coming towards us is the opportunity to navigate this challenge. Now, like I said from the beginning, the thing is fine balance between inviting in this very peaceful, this very calm stillness versus knowing when to move and when to take action, or even more importantly, how to take action, how to navigate this. That's going to be uh, beneficial and that's not going to create a bigger problem, right? That's one of the things that I'm seeing. The other thing is the opportunity arising out of this, the information that will be present here if we're willing to see past our limitations. With every problem, there's an opportunity for a solution. There's an opportunity even to um, accelerate our growth and to bypass previous limits that we've had, right? There's an opportunity here. I can't help but feel that, no matter how hard this might be. But let me take a look and see what Spirit wants us to focus on this week. I'm going to pull from my numerology deck, domestic harmony. Okay, like I said, this is about really paying attention to um, home, the things closest to us, really cultivating the energy with those friends, family, neighborhoods, those closest to us, right? Domestic harmony is the focus. Spiritual partnership, this might be a time to um, collectively come together. There's power in one, but imagine the power in 100 or even 10 or even two, right? This is a time to find strength in likeness when it comes to this challenge that's coming out this week. And I think spiritual partnership is also the time to look for support within our communities and not just support. Hold on one second for me. Important call coming in. Sorry about that. And so this is a time I think of significance where very um, important partnerships, spiritual partnerships, are going to be formed with spiritual partnership, and this is about finding those with like-mindedness and finding those who have similar goals in mind and values. And this is about a journey towards enlightenment. So whatever's happening this week is almost going to be like a wake up. some wake up call that's going to bring us together in some kind of way. Okay. It's time to come together, basically, is what that's saying. It's time to look within, to reach to higher levels of enlightenment as well. Um, I'm also going to put for my Oracle Sevens Oracle just one card that Spirit wants us to take away from this message. What is the one takeaway from this message for the encouragement of the week, Spirit? Opening to discovery. Lots going on in this picture. Okay. First of all, we have a key, and on the top of the key is actually the actual hole where the key goes in. There's something being unlocked this week. We have stars floating all around, um, and we have this canvas in the back that shows kind of like a mountain. Um, and so there's a challenge coming out here, and it's coming in a way where we'll have the answer. We have the key here into the keyhole that's going to unlock something to help us enter in past this challenge, right? But it has come in bits and pieces. The stars are sprinkled about in the background, and the stars may be like the information, right? That's come in, this Ace of Swords. This is all about bits and pieces of data that's being collected, that has been collected within the world. And this has formed different ideas and has allowed us to transfer very important, information and data. And this absolutely could be information coming in spiritually as well, like downloads that's been speaking to us if we've been listening. The important thing here, opening to discovery, is all about opening to this, allowing ourselves to be initiated and take that information and integrate it, and not only allow it to teach us about ourselves, but allow it to teach us about what's happening right now, where we're going, and being open to it. That's the key word, opening to discovery. That lets me know we may not have all of the information. We may not be as knowledgeable about what's happening as we think we are. There's something very spiritual happening. 34 is a 7. Okay. We have 27, which is a 9. There may be an ending. And then we have 10 with 46. You know, this message comes out very often for me about shift that's taking place, the huge transition that has been taking place um, in the energy, and the need to be open to it. Like I've been kind of saying, like there's no way around this awakening that's going to happen, this push to look outside of ourselves or what has always been. We are going to be made to see things. And not everything that seems like a challenge is actually meant to be negative. Sometimes it's an invitation to see something that spirit could be trying to show us or to help us to expand past what has been. It's time to expand. I really feel that. Um, but many times that expansion, that growth comes with hardship. It comes with difficulty. It comes with being torn out of our place of comfort, which is okay because the end result is what we want. It's growth. It's expansion. Um, it's enlightenment. Many times we look and we're like, oh, I'm so glad I was challenged in that way because I would have never, stepped outside of my comfort zone, or I would have never seen it that way. I would have never known that I was able to do this had I not been challenged or forced out of that position. There's a lot of that happening here. I do feel that coming in strong this week, and we need to be open to it. And I don't feel like it's just happening all of a sudden. This has been happening for a while. Bits and pieces have been shown to us, those who have been paying attention, anyways. And so this week is kind of like a showdown of, you know, that. It's almost like time to show and prove, right? What we're made of. Yeah. And so this is going to be, I think it's going to be a challenging week for many. But it's all about looking within, and realizing our limitations, whether this is personal or whether this is on a world scope. It's going to be challenging, and we're going to have to do things that we don't necessarily want to do in order for us to get past this, in order for us to move to the next level, the next part of what's waiting for us on the journey. We've been informed, if we've been paying attention. Bits and pieces of information has been given to us. Even more than that, we have the key. We've had it the whole time. And so, yeah, the energies that came out for this week is the Ace of Swords, which is Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, the Queen of Wands, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo, the Four of Cups, Cancer energy, the Knight of Swords, Gemini energy, the Three of Cups, Cancer energy, the Ten of Swords, Gemini energy, the Eight of Swords, Gemini energy, the Knight of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy, and the World, which is this is the energy, and the world is actually, let me find out because I want to be correct about this. Um, the world card represents Jupiter and Saturn. So, on one hand, we're talking about expansion, wisdom, growth, while Saturn also talks about a completion, responsibility, and the finalization. And, it really depends on how we place this energy. But as you can see, we have lots of fire energy happening, lots of action in motion. And we have lots of Cancer out here as well, lots of Gemini out here as well. Um, Lots of need to balance, you know, our explosive tendencies, our emotions with how we think, right, this week, and really focus more on the empowerment part of this, how we can navigate this, the part that gives us control in this situation so that we can navigate past this. This is all about expansion and growth. Like I said, it's not all bad news. There's something very empowering in this if we're able to catch it and go with that energy. But we definitely have to be open to it, opening to discovery. There's something here that we have not paid attention to that's been here all along. And that's going to be the reward if we're open to seeing this, to challenging ourselves through whatever comes up this week. On the other side of this is and if I could say it, the new world on the other side of this, opening to it. Okay. What's ending is not always bad. Sometimes it has been something that has kept us stuck, right? And this is about getting unstuck. Mm-hmm. So that we're able to move with the Knight of Wands here. And so this week is going to be interesting, whether it's from a personal perspective that you're dealing with this energy or whether it's this world, you know, challenge that's happening right now. It's definitely an energy that we won't be able to ignore. It has to be dealt with because it's all in our face. And so that's my message. That's my message. What we don't see on the bottom is the Emperor. This is all about this Aries energy, is about leadership in many ways and taking a bit of, what we have control over. This is what we are being challenged to really um, encompass this week, what we have control over. We also have the Strength card here, which is all about kicking it up a notch, planting your feet, and not being afraid to deal with the hard stuff this week. And so this Aries energy on the bottom is just more fire energy, lots of fire, water, and air energy this week. And so that could be a very explosive, when you mix fire with air and water, that could be very explosive. And so we may need that earth energy to come in. If things get too combusted, um, what keeps fire going? Air. But at the same time, if you have fire and you sprinkle some water, it could get pretty out of control. And then you bring the earth element in to kind of bring it back down. And so try to stay balanced this week, I would say. Um, Good things coming. I know it looks one way, it may feel one way, but through this, there's a lot that's happening through this. Domestic harmony and spiritual partnership is what Spirit wants us to focus on. Okay. Home, those closest to you, and enlightenment is what this is telling us. That's really the important issue here. I'll leave it there. I hope that was something that you could kind of relate to, and something that resonates for you, whether it's personal or a bit more from a world perspective. This is the energy that's coming out this week, and so let's see what happens. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you feel led to do so. We'll see you all next time. That's the encouragement for the week. Okay, be open to discovery this week. All right, bye. Blood Moon Oracle here.